to the Death of a Dream podcast. I'm your host, Hanna Nuss, the one and only, just like you are the one and only. Okay, let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. It really is one of the most important practices that we do here. We have to set a new trajectory for your life. We have to start turning ourselves around and believing that we are deserving of greatness, that we are already experiencing greatness. And so, right, like that allows us to match that vibration. Hello. If we already are great things can flow. And so we make you practice it, period. And maybe just putting that vibration alone out into the world transforms your life. I don't know, but I've seen greatness follow this very practice. So let's get into it here. My great thing, my great thing has just been, you know what? Honestly, starting to, and I don't know that I haven't started from the very beginning, but in 2021, one of the things that I definitely am accomplishing, have already accomplished, is just building one of the first companies that I envision and have envisioned from the start. And that wasn't like a overnight process, right? Trust me. The amount of starting and stopping over the last 2 years and figuring out what this was going to be and how it was all going to play out and why it was going to make sense and where we were going to head and why I have these ideas in the first place and which idea is going to lead to success and which one isn't. And in all of that madness and chaos and spinning and running and sprinting and starting and stopping and falling and failing and moving, I ended up just having to choose silence and sitting and waiting. And that takes a whole lot of just patience and willingness to continue moving forward, even though it feels like you're moving backwards, even though it feels like you aren't getting anywhere at times. There's so much value in kind of waiting for it to play out. And if you want more guidance on that, I have a bonus episode with Alyssa Gardner, and she talks about this, the importance of silence and kind of sitting down and letting it come to you instead of trying to chase it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But really, my great thing has just been a little bit, we've arrived. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. Like, things are happening that I can't even really explain. Doors are opening that were forced shut before, and sort of this new, beautiful alignment space and this ability to see now how all those dots connect. Why? Why this path first? Why the podcast first? Why the chasing of the speaking and all of those things first? Why? How does that all line up? How does that all make sense? And how does that end us up with what we're building now? And yesterday, as I was writing my first company pitch that I've ever written, I could begin to see how and why all these things connect. And it's just this beautiful new space of awareness. And what I'll tell you is that getting to that place was not a joke. Like, you know, if you go back and listen, the low points, the sad points, the points of depression and squandering and like wanting to be more and just not seeing it or feeling it or understanding, like, why did you tell me to trust this path? Why did you give me all of this signs? This is not fine. This is not what I envisioned. This is not where we're supposed to go. And now, like, that all had to happen. And what I can promise you is the sky is not falling all at once, my friend. It falls in pieces. And the beautiful thing about that is if you're willing to sit with that piece long enough, it can gain its own weightlessness and rise back up, right? But if you're trying to catch them all at once in hopes that you can throw them up, it's too heavy, love. It's too heavy. Let them fall one at a time the way that they want to, but do not, in that moment, be like me. And ask them to all fall. Because, oh, sweet little love, if you're asking, it shall happen. And it did, right? And on the other side of that is this beautiful new realization that all of those things were meant to fall in order to place you right where you are. And if you're going through that fall moment, if you're going through that silent moment, if you're not understanding how all these puzzle pieces fit, all I can tell you is your job is consistency, not seeking. And that's a whole lot of ego checking, which is pretty much what we're talking about today. So, yay. Okay, that's my great thing. Take time, right? Match the vibration of greatness. You do that by calling it into your life. How do we call it into your life? Hannah, how do we do that? I don't know. I'm so confused. What do I do? You just freaking talk about it. You stop acting like you aren't great already, because guess what? If you took a breath today, you are great, and you are greater than you were yesterday. You woke up stronger with more knowledge, with more alignment, like every day in this quest. You are greater than the day before, and that in and of itself is greatness. And so just start talking about it. Just start raising the frequency in which you call greatness into your life. That's it. Whether you write that down, whether you say it out loud, the very practice ups the frequency. Just that alone, even if you do nothing else. Okay? And I didn't quite understand all of that, when we started all of this. Now, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. When I started doing greatness grounding all those years ago, let's see, we would have started that in 2016. I didn't realize at that point that practice probably led me right here where I am today. And that was far before we ever started a podcast. That was far before I even started the quest to figure out who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. But think about how that changed the frequency that I was putting out into the world. Mind-blowing, right? Mind-blowing. Okay, let's get in here. So, ego. And I want to change the relationship that we have with that word, right? Because the second that we enter the word ego, everybody kind of go, ooh, eeh, gross, ego. Ugh, egomaniacs, yuck. Ugh. Get that word out of my mouth. I don't even want to say it out loud. I don't even want to think it. I definitely don't want to bring any ego into my life. And here's what I'll tell you. We all have ego. And it's like a really beautiful thing. And I think ego is there to kind of protect us from ourselves, right? Ego is like our natural, normal human state. And I don't know that it was always like that. I don't know. But basically, I like in my life, because I just like to generally tie it to things that I know already exist, I like to think of my ego as my want to keep up with the Joneses, my want to post amazing things on social media. Like, that's ego, right? Right? And think about the root of why you want to do that. Really the root. When you strip it all back, the real root. And it's hard to strip, right? Because it inevitably will probably tie us all back to like this want for this materialistic existence in the world, right? And then we're like, gross, I'm not that kind of person, but like, chill. You are, we all are, okay? So today we're going to talk about like, how do we kind of start curbing that? And I think it's just, first off, the acceptance that it's real. We all have ego. Even if you think you're swimming above ego, you're probably one of the more egotistical people that exist. That's kind of the funny thing. I will tell you from very specific experience from my own existence swimming in ego. And it looked a lot like this. Oh, no, I'm really just here for the people. I'm really just here for the love. But like underneath all of that, there was this underlying need to exist, for people to see me, for people to hear me, because my ego told me that I am the deliverer. I shall deliver all of us from evil. Right? And you know, even as I sit here today and I continue to talk and I continue to experience this, I think the shift really comes in this letting go of the idea that it has to be any one thing, or the idea that it's going to save or do something for any one person. Like, this podcast is really meant and built to find people who are ready to receive it. I didn't ever build or talk or think about this podcast as something that was going to save you or change your mind, right? Like, I just wanted to talk about it because it was what I was going through. And if you're not going through similar things or you don't have similar thoughts, then it might not be for you. And it might be for you for 2 days. And then you're like, this B word has gone crazy. Goodbye, right? And that's okay too. That's the curbing of the ego. The thought that it has to be this one thing, the thought that it has to be on a timeline, right? And that's where I think a lot of people get lost. And I'm very happy to follow some amazing people that curbed that side of me, right? And they said, just keep going. You're not going to figure it out right here. You're going to figure it out looking from 10,000 feet behind. Your job is just to stay consistent. And so that's what I want to start encouraging for everyone, right? Your job is the exploration. Your job is the continuation of the movement forward, not the projection of the timeline, the understanding of what this has to look like if it's going to be this way. And you can tap into other people, but your job is to stay true to you. You know what's for you. You know what's hitting right. You know what's comfortable. And that doesn't always look like that normal templated idea of what success looks like. And people who are like, I've come here to save you. I have the answer for success. Run away. No one has your answer but you. You know what's going to lead you to success. You know in your heart. It's easier to tap out and tap on someone else to lead you there. No question. But at the end of the day, you know what's true to you. Period. And so you can forge that path. And as you forge that path, know that you are not going to know everything there is to know. And you can trust your intuition to lead you where you're supposed to get, when you're supposed to get there. And for the last 6 months, like, I was trying to outrun that, right? Like, no, I'm going to find this thing. I'm going to keep going. Instead of just sitting back and letting things speak to me and come to me when they are supposed to. I was out there like I'm like taking my machete and I'm cutting down. I just knocked my microphone. I apologize. And I'm cutting down all of the weeds that are in front of me. And I'm like, I'm supposed to forge this path. And what I realize is the path really is laying down in front of me. My pace, my ego was causing me to like, right? And then guess what happened? I get exhausted, right? I feel burnout. I feel disgusted with where I end up. I don't feel aligned with anything that I'm doing. I feel like I'm just running in a hamster wheel because I am. And it's a hamster wheel that I created. I'm the one bringing in the machetes and they don't need to be there. Like the path beautifully lays out for you once you lay out for it. Right? You can't make it happen any faster than it's supposed to. In fact, the second that you try to impose your ego and your timeline, everything gets uncomfortable, right? Do you ever notice that there are like huge signs of like that maybe you aren't supposed to be doing something, or that like all of a sudden all this crazy badness keeps coming to you and you don't understand? Like, take a second and look at the things that you're trying to force in your life, right? And a lot of times if it's being called to slow down, oh my gosh, and this happened to me, right? Like all of a sudden I get this one opportunity, this one chance, and I had been told that was coming. Like, you're going to get a chance, the money's going to flow, just keep trusting. And so I get this thing and I'm like, whoa, this is what we're supposed to do. Let's go, let's run. Oh my gosh, here we are. Yes. We can build all these things, like imagine. And maybe this is the exact path that we're supposed to be on. And all of a sudden my ego starts running away from me. And then the universe is like, hey, I'm going to need you to chill out, because that's not what I was trying to tell you. All I was trying to tell you is that you don't have to worry. We have something planned for you. Just hold on. I wasn't trying to tell you to go ahead and build 3 businesses out of this. You need to chill. You're not there yet. I realize you think you are. You're not. And then, boom, what happens? A whole lot of COVID, right? And like out of nowhere. Don't even know where I would have contracted it. Like craziness, right? And that's sort of, I think a lot of us are being given a lot more signs than we're willing to acknowledge. And sometimes it isn't because we're not willing to acknowledge it. Sometimes it's because we are just blindly chasing, right, what it looks like to keep up with the Joneses, or ego. You're being handed signs, but sometimes we don't want them. We're like, no. I don't want that sign. I really enjoy looking like I have everything figured out. I really enjoy driving that really nice car. So then people think that I do important things. So then people think that I am successful, right? And that's where it's like, get into the root of why you think you need those things. Why do you think you need a big fancy house? Do you actually want a big fancy house? Do you enjoy cleaning that many rooms? Do you enjoy... That's just me, right? Do you enjoy all of the things that come along with that? A bigger yard, more mowing, more... Maybe you do. Maybe that's totally your jam and that's exactly what you want. Like, beautiful. Then you're gonna have to stay on a timeline to keep those things up, unless you're in a place where those things happen and flow naturally for you, right? Beautiful. You don't have to worry about the same things that a lot of us do, right? And sometimes we just want things for the pure sake of wanting them, which is beautiful too. But a lot of times it's out of the pure sake of wanting to feel normal and look like everybody else. And I will tell you, if you want to forge a path that feels good and aligned, it's very unlikely that you are going to look like everyone else, because everyone else is miserable. And there is this like misery train that we all just happily jump on, right? Because we're just like, well, yeah, everybody else is getting on it. Seems weird if we go off this way, right? Like, well, okay. And then you couple up with someone and you're like, okay, so we're going to do that, right? Like, we're going to create a family and we're all just diving into this world of misery, right? Like, that's wonderful. Yay! Maybe we'll go to our kids' sporting event and be so angry and spiteful. We'll yell at the ref the whole time. I don't know, but we're just pissed at the world. And so, like, we're at a 6-year-old's t-ball game and we're like, that was a strike. And they're not even pitching, right? But, like, we're just mad because we're all miserable and we're all here together. And then we kind of all collaborate and we're like, let's be, you know what, this ref has it against us. And this is like how we get out this suppressed anger into the world, because it doesn't really belong anywhere else except for children's sports, where we're supposed to be just preaching happiness and good joy in pursuit of fun. But let's go ahead and make it about us. Okay, let's do that. Right? And that's sort of what we all sign up for. We just sign on the dotted line. We don't even read the contract because we're just like, you know what? Everybody else is doing it. We're all supposed to have a big house. I don't know. We've lived in this house for 5 years. It seems like we should probably be upgrading to something bigger. Do you even want to? We're having another kid. Seems like we should get a brand new minivan. Do you even need one? Do you need a bigger vehicle? Babies aren't that big. I don't know. Just a thought. I know. But like, before you make any of those decisions, let's really sink into the life that you want to sign up for. Because sometimes when we're signing on that dotted line, it's with a lot more blood than we think it is. Right? Like, are you signing away your ability to chase your dreams? Are the material things owning you, or do you actually own them? And that's what it looks like, right? Here are all the material things that I have. Yay! Look at me. I'm a success. Because of those material things that I have to have before I'm actually equipped to own them financially, I'm going to sign up for misery until the end of time. This is the exchange. And a lot of us happily walk that path, right? Like, but I look like everyone else, so we're all happy, right? Except for we're not all happy. We're all basically miserable. And so if you would want a different life, you would probably have to drastically change things from where you are right now. And I want you to get real concrete on what your why is, because people kind of disappear into this ego state where the why becomes really unclear and really is chased more by ego than by why, and it's easy to get mixed up. Okay, trust. Hi, I got mixed up before, a lot of times. Still am getting mixed up. And this is what it kind of looks like. So I worked for an organization. I wanted to climb up really just to make more money, just to buy different things, just to like, I didn't even really know. That's just what everyone did. So I'm like, okay, that's what we have to do. And because of that, because it wasn't really meant for me, because it wasn't something that I was really passionate about, it felt extremely uncomfortable. And I didn't even know what I was asking for. I just kind of felt like I should be pissed off because I probably wasn't making enough money, because who is making enough money? And so it goes. And so then it was like, okay, well, you're unsatisfied. Maybe you need more things that kind of feed this bucket side of you. Maybe you need just more extra things, which, like, what a great answer, by the way. The world is so amazing in how it answers this, like, suppressed idea of what success might look like. We're like, you know what? I think you got too much downtime to, like, really think about how unhappy you are. Let's add more things. Yay! Let's do that. Okay. So then you're supposed to, I don't know, volunteer. And so you volunteer, but the why behind that volunteering usually looks like, well, if I volunteer, then it's going to look like I'm a more whole and complete person. And so I'm going to move up sooner. And that's really my why behind it. But we're like, but I like charities and I like giving back. And so that's my why. Well, that's just a mask why. And so the reason that it might not feel good, or the reason that it might not feel good to the person you're volunteering for, is because it's kind of a fake vibe that you're putting out, and the real frequency that you're putting out is ego, right? And I know that's a hard pill to swallow. Gulp it down. Just take it. Maybe get a glass of water after this. Maybe push pause and grab a glass of water so you can take that gulp down, right? And all of those things really are just driven by ego. And we try to mask them with like these wonderful little missions and sayings, and it isn't sometimes true. And some people are 100% true and beautiful and pursuing things that they are supposed to pursue in this world. But a lot of us are just trying to fill that ego gap. And it's a really hard thing to wrap your mind around. But at the end of the day, if we can all get down to the root of why we're doing something, the root of why we want a car, the root of why we want this house, right? And not like the fake little roots that are like, but I have to have this nicer car because I have to get to work and it might break down. But like, what might it look like if you were driving a car that you could afford, that you didn't have payments on, and your car broke down? Well, in the instance where you don't have a $400 a month car payment, you have $400 a month extra in case something goes wrong, which means you can probably handle towing. Or you can actually afford to put a towing package on your insurance and not have to pay for towing at all, and only have to pay for the expense of fixing your vehicle. Now, you might drive a vehicle that's not brand new, and people might say something to you. And those people are just on a different path, right? They've chosen a different path. You have the right to choose the path of pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness doesn't come from material things, nice cars, nice houses, any of those things. Those things are great. They come as a result of already being grateful for what you have and what you can actually afford, right? Not projecting out to where you want to end up. Where you want to end up comes and flows naturally to you when you let down the ego of your own timeline. In the world, there really is no timeline. All things are going to flow to you as they are meant to. And so maybe the most important step that we can take is understanding what's ego and what's true. And so much of our world is built on ego and ego alone, right? Think of social media, right? So much of who we are in the existence of this world really is fed off of ego. And I think it misguides so many of us and drives us right into this place of pursued misery. Like, why would we sign up for a life that traps us, right? Why would we pursue a life that works us into this inescapable corner? Why? And today, what things could you eliminate that could start to free you out of that space? It doesn't all happen overnight. No. Okay? But like, what are the things that you could stop doing today that put you in a more free place tomorrow? Even if it frees you up 5 minutes, even if it frees you up $5, what are those things? And then you take that 5 minutes and you devote that 5 minutes to yourself. And you take that $5 and you devote that $5 towards self-work, or towards a business that you want to build, or towards a college that you want to attend, a degree that you want to attain? What does it look like to start shifting out of a place of ego and into a place of pursuit of happiness? As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.